Hey everyone, it's Robert Bob Dickieson, and I thought I'd go live here with a video. Originally, I thought I will do a series of little videos explaining my platform, but time is precious these days, so I thought let's do the live video and go through it as I go through it, right? Like step by step. So on my coffee table here was like one of my cards my kids were playing with it, did some cuts there. And I thought, let's do this straightforward and just go through my points here. There's a priority list that I have for Sarnia. So what I wrote here, the first point was the headlines like a better place and a better and progressive city for everyone by design. And that's a very essential part, is by design, because I believe there are a lot of good things are done with good urban planning. A good thing can be done by directing the city in a certain direction and how we use public land and private land, how we connect it, and how we can make it flow and work better. So make the spaces we have into places. It's a very big topic, and I broke it down to some really important points in my eyes. The very first point, and through all the conversations I had with citizens and also during the debates we had this week, was the infrastructure issue. And I wrote here, fix infrastructure issues in a sustainable and systematic way. The thing is that the more I look into this topic of infrastructure, the scarier it actually gets. I learned things I didn't know about the city and the infrastructure issues. When I talk to citizens, the most concern or problem I get, like, hey, Robert, can you please pave my road? The road is really bad. I was like, sure, I would love to do it, but my fear is, like, if I pave your road and something happens underneath your road, like the sewer issues, water main breaks, and so on, that we have to rip open the newly paved road. It makes no sense. Like, it's almost, sorry when I say this, but it's like putting lipstick on a pig. We can't do that. We have to really look at the issues we have underneath the road, and there are a lot of issues. I talked to the city engineer about my own situation here, because that's something I'm very familiar with. I'm renovating my house, and I learned, for example, that my pipes at the road here, Vital Street, are vintage 1900. Doesn't mean they were built 1900. That's like the city's way to say, we don't know how old it is. There's also a map, and that was a conversation I had with city engineers, how old infrastructure is. It's made in 2014, and there's all kind of colors, and red means life expectancy between 0 and 30 years. It was made 8 years ago, so I asked the engineers, when it was 8 years ago, there was some infrastructure that was 0 years, 8 years ago, so it must be -8 by now, must have completely expired, and the truth is, they don't know the condition. So the first step for me would be, and that's part of the systemic approach to fixing infrastructure, to see where actually is, what's the condition? We don't know. We have some indications, like the flooding at Coronation Park strongly indicates there's a big issue with like getting the sewer and the stormwater away from that quarter of the city, but where is the bottleneck? And that's why it's systematic. And here's the really frustrating part for me, and it goes along with my opposition to urban sprawl, that you cannot add brand new pipes, are totally fine, to the old system. So whatever comes from the top down gets clogged on the bottom because it's still old pipes. Like my Vital Street 100+ year vintage pipes that should be replaced 8 years ago maybe, they cannot handle more pressure from upstream. So it will be a very monumental task. And since I want to play honest here with everyone and not like, oh, Robert never said that, it's extremely expensive to do the total reconstruction, meaning rip everything open, get to the problematic pipes and replace them. It will cost a lot of money. Of course, the approach would be to see if there's any upper tier funding from county, provincial and federal government, or see where we maybe can save some money internally. But ultimately, there's so much infrastructure liabilities that we have most likely to raise taxes or fees. But that's just the truth, and no one tells you that. And I want to be honest with you, there has to be a flush of money into to fix this. It was like kicked down the can was kicked down the road so many times. We have to start it now, because otherwise I just trade it off to the next generation, to my kids and my grandkids. That's not fair. We have to fix it now and be done with it. Enough with infrastructure. I want to go to the next point. It's also extremely important to me is the safe roads for all ages 1 to 100. Goal, no more traffic deaths. What I'm saying here is, my daughter is now 4 years old. She goes to elementary school, and I realize, holy crap, these roads here in Sarnia, they're not safe. It's so car dominated that the thought or the use of the roads for pedestrians or bicycles is just a second thought. It's just like no cars first and pedestrians second. And if you're not totally able-bodied and an adult, you would not be able to participate fully in life here. And one example would be London Road and Christina Street. The signal for pedestrians is too short. Like, if you're not perfectly walking the speed, you cannot cross the road in a safe manner as long as the walk sign is on. The same as the road, the way to school for my daughter. It's just, there's no way that she could ever go to school by herself. She always needs an adult, and that also leads to this completely conundrum of lots of parents, even that school is like a 100% walkable school. A lot of parents drive their kids to school, and the reason why they drive it was not safe for them. But the more parents drive their kids to school, the less safe gets it for the remaining children, the more of a pressure becomes for the parents to drive their kids to school. So there's a really vicious cycle there, and I hope by particularly looking at these high-risk areas for vulnerable populations, that would be school children or a senior's home, we have to make it really safe that these people that are not in the car, they must walk, that we make it really safe for them, and to reduce the risk of being seriously injured or die on the road. There are many ways around how to do this. It will, unfortunately, inconvenience the motorists a little bit, but ultimately, if you look how the city is built and how you get around, if it takes you 2 minutes longer to go from one side of the city to the other side of the city, that's just 2 more minutes. What do you lose, really? But it's safer than for the pedestrians and the bicyclists. So that's something I really want to focus. The third point, and that's something really near and dear to my heart, is to grow strong and vibrant neighborhoods. So what do I mean with it? So the easiest way to explain to you is that imagine a 1950s or 60s neighborhood where you had strong bonds with neighbors, you talk to each other, you know what's going on, you helped each other, and you really were like a villages in the city, people around you. You helped and know each other, and the kids, you just open the door and it's like, come home when it gets dark, dinner will be ready. It existed here in Sarnia. Like the neighborhood where I live, like the Heritage District, was like that. And then again, urban planning came in, Vital Street, Brock Street, London Road were made into major arterial roads, and it's completely ripped the sense of the neighborhood away from this area. And what happened here, and I'm really, really proud of this, we started due to a lot of external pressures, a neighborhood watch. And this involved me and others to talk to neighbors, to get close to them, listen to the concerns, and trying to see what is our common denominator. The common denominator was always like, we want to have a safe neighborhood. We don't want these issues we have with crime to make our life less comfortable. Like it's something was hard to grasp, and there's no easy solution around this as well. However, what happened, we get closer together, and that's something a really great feeling, because literally I cannot walk down the street without having a chat with a neighbor, and I just love this closeness to this community, and it makes me feel home. And especially since you may or may not know, I'm not born in Sarnia. I was born in Germany. I moved here, and this became a home now. So I really like what Sarnia gives to me, especially this neighborhood. I love my neighborhood here, the downtown area, and it's just great. And I would like to see this idea of strong and vibrant neighborhoods to other areas. And that can be done with very simple little things that we encourage people to talk to each other. And if I, as a councillor, could, for example, encourage people to have a little barbecue, maybe sponsor this, because the city had this years ago, a little sponsorship of neighborhood barbecues with, say, $200, some hot dogs and buns and all the fixings, and then just get together and talk to your neighbors. It would be one step to do, to grow something, to know your neighbors better and see what can be done. Because ultimately what I hope to achieve there is that a lot of issues that the city has get solved within the neighborhood. And then out of this neighborhood, maybe we get one leader that could speak then to the city, to council with delegation, and present the current and pressing issues to council. The next point I wrote here was to make the downtown a destination, not an opportune shortcut. And this is a observation that I've done several times because I go for my evening walks usually, that there's a lot of traffic going through downtown, but is that traffic that goes through there actually going there because I want to be downtown, or is just driving through? And the amount of traffic that happened there, my interpretation is they're not going there to buy something, to buy chocolate or to get a coffee or go to a restaurant, or it's just driving through. And it's also this urban design here. The speed limit is 50. There's nothing to make you to slow down and like, hey, yeah, I want to be here. I want to stop here and see. And that also creates a vicious cycle of this downtown is not really as at its value it could be. I see downtown as like a diamond in the rough of Sarnia. There's so much potential there. And this is also, why it's so important, is that downtown can be a powerhouse of revenue for the city, because all the things I want to do will cost money, and how we get the taxes in by allowing a strong downtown neighborhood. And the metric I use the success of a good and strong downtown or neighborhood as well is tax revenue per acre. You can imagine that downtown, lots of little stores close by, also residential there. If you compare this to, say, Walmart, with a store, big store, pays a lot of taxes. But if you compare this, like the whole area that Walmart takes with a parking lot, the revenue generated there is minimal compared to the downtown with all the little stores that pay a lot of taxes. It's much more powerful. So we really have to put an effort there. And the more pleasant, nicer the downtown becomes, it becomes a destination. You want to be there, we want to go there, tourists want to go there. And this is another part, and goes with the next point, with the implementation of the waterfront master plan. This waterfront master plan is stunning. It's absolutely amazing what was pulled together there. It's, to some points, a little pie in the sky ideas there, but this is a vision, and that's what we need. All my points is part of a vision that I have for the city. I want to go there. We'll get there eventually. If elected, the 4 years will be not enough to achieve everything, and it goes with the waterfront master plan. It will be several years, but there is a vision. And I really would hope that this master plan will be implemented as good as possible. And let's start with low-hanging fruits, or start with little experiments, I call them, or little bets, something that's reversible. The conversation I had several times was with the Centennial Park and the disaster that happened there with money paid. And this was a big bet that went wrong, and now it's really hard to reverse it. And there's something, try something, a gentle commercialization. I've seen it in North Ruskia PEI. The community there put little shanties or sheds along the waterfront park, and this could be rented out to entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, like selling ice cream or tourists, knickknacks, souvenirs. This is something that can be done here. So why not put it in one spot? One option would be where the old McLean's restaurant was. Now it's just a void land with broken concrete. All the service would be there. We put something there, make it nice, and allowing entrepreneurs to try out a business. Or spread it out over the whole waterfront. Little places where you can rent, and also will generate then revenue for the city. This goes again with a big picture what I have is use all city-owned property to its highest and best use. It's ultimately really frustrating for me on my walks to see city property not used what it could be. And the most extreme example that I see is this gravel parking lot below City Hall on George Street that's right by the waterfront. I guess everyone here that listening to me, or maybe listen later, can come up with 1 or 2 or 20 or 200 ideas how to use this gravel parking lot for something better than parking cars. There's no revenue. Now, you can pay for the parking there, but there's no revenue really generated. Imagine what this place could be if this would be a nice building, not necessarily a high-rise, but say a mid-rise, like 4 stories, where you have like commercial on the bottom, and maybe on the second floor also commercial, which goes down the hill, right? And then some residential, really nice apartments up there. This would generate more money than this gravel parking lot. Sorry that I focus on that, but I can bring up another example. Victoria Street parking there. I never seen this place more than 1/3 used. Yes, it's pay per use, but it's not generating enough money, and that could be something in even a housing crisis. Build something there. It could be affordable housing, co-op housing, something better than a parking lot. Please, city, we have to do something with this. And it's not just the parking lots in downtown, it goes with the parks as well. There are some parks that are unfortunately oversized and they're not being used. What's the example? Newell Park there on Cathcart, huge park, nice little playground equipment, it needs to be fixed too, but do we need a park of this size? Because it costs money to do all the care there, to cut the grass and cut the lawn there. Can we use it for something better? Is this maybe a spot where we build a missing middle housing project, like a 4-plex or 6-plex, accessible for seniors? Seniors that live in the area and would like to stay in the area, that would be an option. Or something else, we're still talking about the indirect facility. There's so many city-owned properties where we could use something better than parking lot or a lawn and just get cut for no better purpose. The last topic, and there's something very near and dear to my heart, is like to address the drug addiction issue with, by collaboration with all parties. This is something that I saw once I moved to the downtown area. So I lived in North End near Northern High School, and then I moved down here to the Heritage District, Vital Street, and I was very sheltered living in North End. Beautiful living there. There was nothing wrong with that because nice houses, very nice cared properties and everything. But for me, there was a bedroom community. I drove in with a car or a bicycle, but I like biking. And I went to my backyard, there was a pool, and just hung out there. There was no much interaction with the neighbors. I didn't see what was going on that much, and it was quiet in general. Moving downtown is like a microcosm of Sarnia in front of your doorsteps. And you see it because all these houses down here have front porches. And by front porch, you sit out there and see what's going on. So literally here downtown, you see from the poorest to the richest, from the healthiest to the sickest, from the most left wing to most right wing. You see everything in the mix here, which is great to see all this, but also it's heartbreaking. And in the beginning, I tried to help. The people that experience addiction and homelessness, trying to talk to them, trying to help them out. And what I experienced after a while was like compassion fatigue, and it's something very common. Like, I'm a veterinarian, that veterinarians experience because they want to help, and then get to a point you cannot help anymore. And that's what I experienced. And then the risk there is that your compassion for other people or for animals then turns to anger and get frustrated. I caught myself before that and tried to step a little bit back and say, I cannot help everyone, but help is needed. And during this campaign period, I tried to reach out and talk to as many people as possible, and also to key players. So I talked to police, Sarnia police chief, very interesting, and ultimately the police cannot do everything. They cannot be the kitchen sink for all the problems we have. We cannot call them for every mental health issue we see. It's tragic, but who is responsible? In my eyes, there's a lot of hot potato being played, but ultimately my belief is that we all are collectively responsible for that. However, we cannot fix it, and there's experts, and experts are actually in the county. There's Lambton County Social Services. That's their specialty, and we have to involve them and say, hey, we are the biggest city in Lambton County. social services, please come here and help us solve the problem. We are, as a city, okay to have everyone feel welcome, but we also need help from the upper tier, from Lambton County, to help us really systematically help them. There are also now steps at Blue Water Health to bring in a withdrawal management. But the problem here is it ends at 30 days. What happens at day 31st? If you're just being released and you don't have much support, you may fall back where you've been before, and then becomes a vicious cycle. You come in hopelessness in there, which then plays again a little bit with my strong neighborhood idea, that if the strong neighborhoods will or could potentially be a vital partner there. And this idea of strong neighborhoods and cooperation, I brought up to the River City Vineyard. It's in my neighborhood here, and I talked to the owner, operator, boss, George Esser. A very interesting conversation, and I have again a vision here that say like, okay, the city tried in the past to shut the operation down. That failed, so River City will stay here. There's no way around it. The shelter will stay here. And what is now the alternative? Leave it as be. There's still issues with it, or we can try to make it the best possible place to make an asset for the neighborhood, make an asset for the city, make this a blueprint for all the other neighborhoods, a blueprint for to make this whole system of helping homelessness and people with addiction, to say like, hey, I see someone struggling, I want to help them, and say, hey, go over there, there's a place where they will help you. And then this unease feeling that I have and the compassion I have can be then used to go there, and then we can support them and then become an integral neighborhood because they do the work that is needed, again, in cooperation with Lambton County. These are all my points. As I saw that someone wants to join me, so I will see if Brad Stevenson wants to join, so I approve him. Let's see if maybe there's a mistake here, but I wanna. So Brad Stevenson, if you don't want to join, just then say no. But yeah. Meantime, I just look what other messages we had there. Oh, there it comes.
I wasn't sure this was audio. I thought it was just typing.
Oh, I just saw that you want to join. I was like, why not? Like, it's live. So
is it, if it's a private thing, I won't. But it just popped up on my phone, and I wrote you the other day about bicycling. I was a guy who couldn't even get on the bike.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, I was just actually listening, and I was just going to type in. So I'm actually going to jump out, but and leave you to your privacy. But I certainly appreciate your invitation, and you have my vote. You've definitely won it over 150%. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you for the support. It means the world to me. I got so many nice messages throughout the day of my supporters here, and people I never knew they existed. Like, wow. Like, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I never knew of you, but you seem to be a phenomenon within this city. So I definitely no concerns with voting for you, and I wish you all the best.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, take care.
Okay, thank you. So how we do this? All right. So thank you for that. So it's all live, and I just want to go with a message. My infrastructure is one of, if not the biggest issue discussed during the election. Thank you for being the candidate that does the most research on this topic. Too many candidates expressed that it was the biggest issue, but they have not done much research as you on actual problems. You consistently displayed that you are a critical thinker, diligent researcher, and can interact with council and staff in a professional manner. And when I say research, I don't mean Google things. You investigate the local issue by contacting local experts. You have taken this issue more serious than any other candidates, even the ones that you decided to run because of the Coronation Park event. Mike, thank you very much. This is one of the things that really honest was what's going on there. Like, I'm a neurodivergent person, so I have ADHD, and I get hyper focused on sometimes of things. And this is some of the things, like, I really want to understand what's going on there. And also the frustration that with London Road, the red lights are on. That's how it started. Like, at London Road, all the people run, not all the people, like lots of people run the red light. And what the heck happens there? It's insane. And then I started going down this rabbit hole and still in this rabbit hole and studying. And it came ultimately to this whole urban design. I reached out to the city engineer, talked to him, what can be done, how we can improve it, and how not to spend too much money, because there's always like the best way to do it, but would break the bank. And the other thing is I'm now talking to Minister of Transportation of Ontario. I reached out to the Dutch experts and say, like, hey, here's the problem. We cannot do say the Dutch style roundabout because it's not in the Highway Traffic Act, it's not in the design center. What can be done that we can change the design center for Ontario to make it permissible? Yes, I talked about the big boys really up there at the ministry level, but someone has to ask the question. That's something that I want to do as a council as well. Like, I want to study a subject as deeply as possible and bring up the best possible solution and talk to the best experts in the world. And if they can't find them in Sarnia, maybe they're in Lambton County, maybe they're in Ontario, maybe they're somewhere in Canada, maybe they're international. Just talk to them and copy the best ideas. That's the other trick. We don't reinvent the wheel. There are tons of solutions out there. So, Mike, thank you so much for the kind words. There was another message here. Brady Gaskin, I love that idea about the small structure that could be rented out at small business. Yeah, again, it's a concept that exists. And I went to this little town, I mentioned that before, a little town, North Rustico, PEI, I think 7,000 people. And they were way advanced than Sarnia. Like, holy crap. Exists. If we had to reinvent it, just copy this. It was a genius way. And then ultimately, the worst case, it fails. How much it costs to build like these 10 structures? They're $300,000, $500,000. Like, I just guesstimating something. If it really fails, it's much better than a 10 million whatever major project. But I strongly believe it will work out. We will get the money back as a city really quick from the revenue, the taxes generated there. So yeah, so it's always the idea to support that. And I don't see any more questions. So with that, I won't keep you too long. So I just throw this live video out. Not really polished. It's just my thoughts here, and I really hope that I could become a counselor, and if not, I really hope that somebody copies my ideas, because with the other options, like someone copy me. Oh, there's this. There can no question. Brandy Gassian, I've seen those in a small town in the Ottawa Valley as well. They are so smart. I love us to have something like that. Yeah, absolutely. C-Can kiosks. Yeah, C-Cans. Yeah, that would be genius. Yeah, they're there. Pop them. Try the location. If it doesn't work location, we can move them around. Great idea, Steve. Scott, SR Spinks. What are you doing for the homeless and our downtown food stores? We need a food store in crime and drugs overdose. Overdose prevention, maybe. Homelessness. So the vast majority is a complicated. Okay, it's a complex issue. It's not complicated. It's complex. What I mean is that there's so many layers to it. And I think the major issue here with homelessness is we have a lack of affordable housing. We have to fix this. And this is something gets again very complex. And I think the biggest issue we have in the city right now is our antiquated zoning bylaws. And it's something that I get really frustrating. So I experienced that myself. Like, I'm renovating my house right now. I put a basement apartment in. For me to get the permit to swing my hammer in my own house was $4,000. It was difficult. It took me 5 months. And if you go on the city's website, they say, oh, we want these granny suites, we want to do all the secondary dwelling units. It's really important for the city. But then they make it so complicated. And I bit my way through it and finally got my permit, but it was lots of work. And since it's an old house, over 100 years, it's not that easy. Like, rewiring the whole house, it was like, holy moly. It was fun, and the replumbing it and. But I drift off a little bit. Like, with addressing the homeless issue is we have to enable every homeowner to build these additional units. It may not directly help the homeless right now, but what it does, it takes the pressure away from the housing issue because we offer more. And another concept, and that's actually the idea of my wife, there was an observation done, she works on long-term care, is that imagine North End home, there are beautiful family homes there, neighborhood where I lived before Northern High School. And there's a lot of seniors now living there, empty nesters, and maybe even widowed, and they live in a 3-level side split, 4-level side split, raised ranch, the typical building that exists here, beautiful homes and whatever. And the person gets older and older and older. And over time, the ability to take care of the property gets less, so help is hired, the lawn care company comes in, they do the leaf raking, the snow removal, and then it gets to the point that the person actually has to move on. There's too much of a house to have. But where do they go? There's only a senior's home, and if you lived all your life in this house, it's the last thing you want to do to move into a senior's home. We don't have to. They always like, no, I don't want to go there. So what we need in the city is a in-between step. And the idea, again, it's not my idea, it's like my wife's idea, is to do like a 4-plex or 6-plex. Let's go with the 4-plex idea. So a 2-level building, the grade level is all wheelchair and accessible. The top unit would be stairs, not really accessible, but the lower level will be 100% accessible. So what that does is that the senior that's currently able-bodied can move in the top unit and live there with other seniors. They can help each other out. Maybe they do garden because they were used to having a house, and then they can share the joy of gardening, to do something together, take care of each other as well in this little unit. Again, strong neighborhoods idea. And then when the health goes frail, you would move into the accessible unit, and then you get the outpatient help. PSWs come in and help with daily tasks. This will be a step in between, and then once your health gets too frail, then is the option to move into the long-term care home. Then it's ready. And then this, by doing this flow from the single family home empty nester to the in-between multi-unit housing geared for seniors, accessible, and then to seniors home. This relieves the pressure of the single family homes, because once this move starts, it opens up for families. So then these houses, there's a higher supply there. Hopefully the price will go down, but be more affordable. Again, this not exactly helps the homeless there, but it just opens up the housing units. And then in total, the prices of the dwelling unit itself goes down. And then as a city, we must address the affordable housing issue. And I know that the term is not that liked anymore, but social housing. We have to do that. We have to take care. And it could be either a city run or county run, or as co-ops, and put them at places that are currently at blight. The best place that comes into my mind would be Rainbow Park. I love this area. I love the playground there. But across the street, a lot of not so great looking houses. Again, what tax revenue is generated, or tax sales going on right now in the two. But if this becomes something viable, productive again. And ideally, if you develop something, mix in some commercial units as well, so the people that live there have ideally a place to work as well, right in walking distance. So it's densification, commercialization, and then by doing so, offer affordable housing. Also, with this topic, and I talked before, like it's a big topic, is the zoning. Like where I live here on Vital Street, the setbacks currently are set. Like if you drive down it, every house has like these beautiful lawns. This is by law. I cannot build anything in my front lawn. It's forbidden right now because this is setbacks. I'm dictated currently by the zoning that I have to have a front lawn, a non-productive front lawn. So if I say I would like to build right at the edge of the sidewalk a garage, maybe with a little bakery on the side, because I like baking. That was the idea of a bakery one day. A bakery on the side, and on top make three bachelor apartments. I'm not allowed to do so. And so why not? I'm just using my own property for something productive. Again, this would increase taxes, it would increase the housing stock. My idea is to do the bachelor apartment, which would be more geared to affordable. Lots of idea there, and really we have to really look at the zoning bylaw to generate or create more dwelling units and more housing and geared to the more affordable one, which also means, and I have to say really clear again, I'm against the urban sprawl because it's the most toxic thing we can do. And I say toxic because this is essentially the nail in the coffin of Sarnia. Because these new places do not generate enough money to recover the cost. They're geared to car-dependent, middle-class, upper middle-class housing, and the homeless issue or the housing issue is not addressed there. We have to really do infill and do it right. All right, on that topic, I want to go back here. Other questions, homeless? What are you doing about the drugs and food stamps? Okay, so, oh yeah, that's several questions. Sorry, Scott. The drugs, very tough issue, and a lot of it is mental health. I mentioned that there is, Blue Water Health is doing 24 beds, which is not enough. Then I went there to the meeting and asked them, so what's the occupancy for the 24 beds, or the planned occupancy? Is it 100%? And I was like, that's not good, we need way more. And then next question is, what happens at day 31 when the person that's just went through withdrawal management is just going to the street? Like, this is not great system. It's a gaping hole. What we need is a rehab. And what we have to do here, we have to go to the province, because this is public health care. The beds are allocated by the province. We have to lobby the province and say we are the most worthiest place to have this, because we have people suffering on the streets. And again, I see this every day here in front of me. Other issues, and again, I probably stick my head out really far to the window here, is safe injection sites. We need it. And I'm saying this because I'm a father, I have young kids. I go to the parks in downtown. And one of the parks I really love is the sit-down park on College Ave. And I went there with my daughter, showed her the flowers, but I avoid the place now because, unfortunately, a lot of dirty needles now. And I cannot, like, eagle-eye 2 kids at the same time and hope for the best that don't touch anything they should not touch. And it's a shame. I'd rather have then that if you must use drugs because you're addicted as an illness, go to a place where you have access and hopefully help by a professional. Again, social services, Lambton County has to orchestrate that with help of the health unit. Food store, absolutely. How to encourage that is to allow gentle commercialization. I'm from Germany. Every neighborhood had the butcher, the baker, and a candlestick maker. I haven't seen many candlestick makers, but there certainly was a butcher and a baker. Why we don't have that in Sarnia? We have it in Canada. Go to Quebec. They have the épicerie, the boulangerie. It's there. The concept is there. And how to do this? I mentioned my own property. I bake so much sourdough bread. I think I can sell it slowly. But why am I not allowed to do this? Like, again, the zoning has to change or be permissible to allow those stores. And ultimately, with the densification and more inhabitants in the downtown area, that will lead to a large demand for a grocery store and will come, because then one of the big players will notice and then maybe put like not a discount store like a Food Basics or No Frills. It probably will be a Sobeys Plus or something they have there, or a more metro style, like the higher end, smaller footprint. But you can get your milk, your butter, and all the necessities, which I don't mind to pay a little more if I can leave my car parked, because it costs me money driving there, and also is a social cost there with the pollution I create and another car on the road and have to park my metal box somewhere. So if I can walk there, get my bread, butter, milk, and my sausages, because the butcher, and my candlestick, I'm much happier with that concept. Kevin, I agree, but I think it might be wise to have a part-time healthcare worker already available to those elderly living there. Creation of jobs and better experience with those peasants. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's like you start like as independent living, and the more frail you get, the PSW would come in and support them. And there's a company here in Sarnia, Home Instead. They could be partnered, or other companies that provide the personal service worker there, or even a nurse that can come and help the individuals. Okay, go here. Brad, colors naturally occurring affordable housing occurs when naturally when incremental intensification enables. Bob is right. Yeah, thank you, Brad. That's yeah, we have to enable that, and currently there's a lot of hurdles made. Another concept, because I want to talk about how we can solve this, because like I talk about big ideas. So what was a concrete thing? The idea what I have is a pre-approved plans for, say, constructing a garage. And a garage, in the way, not just parking a car or put your junk in. Put on top like a granny suite or another dwelling unit. Currently not allowed in Sarnia, because by zoning and by building code, if you build your garage to appropriate height and then want to put a dwelling unit, and that's like the heights you need to do it properly, you're about 2 feet too high by zoning. Like, who designed that? Like, this is just nonsense. It's stupid. Sorry. I'm yeah. I want to fix this. So the idea is pre-approved plans. Like, hey, you want to build a garage for XYZ? Yeah, sure. Here's a plan. It costs you a nominal fee, $100, $500, whatever. And you pick the siding. You know where the windows to go, and inside you can build non-supporting walls the way you want it. Get a contractor, give them a plan. Off you go. That's how much setbacks you need from the neighbor's property. Easy peasy. And especially since like a pre-approved plan, the building inspector, plumbing inspector, electrical inspector, they know exactly what to look for, because it's a standard, almost cookie cutter. Then we can, for heritage district areas, we can do like some architectural elements that blends in better, so it's not like a really artificial addition to the area, but it's a little specialty here with heritage preservation as well. But that would be a concept, and have several plans so the homeowner can pick one. Let's see. Bylaws are what dictate it can be and cannot be built. Yeah, absolutely right, Brad. And it needs a reform. We have to be enabling. We have to be open. And this also means for businesses, because how many hurdles are put in here in the city for small business owners? And I speak from my experience as a short-term rental operator, and this is just frustrating. Frustrating how this was done, and the scapegoating of the short-term rental operators of reducing the building stock, the dwelling units, and make the city unaffordable, which is not true, because the city didn't know how many were there, and then there was estimated 75, maybe 200, but when you have 20,000 dwelling units, it does not make sense. And also, this was an opportunity for the city. It was totally missed to harness that as an income stream and showcase how great this is, again, encouraging tourism, and make it right, run it right, make a seal of quality with short-term rentals, like inspect on the highest level, and then it would be a great opportunity for revenue and show newcomers the city in the best way. Whole topic, if you want to know my thoughts about this, it will be probably an hour-long conversation. I want to stop that now. Oh, Brett, again, you're busy here. Thank you. If we want more affordable housing in aggregate, we need to ensure zoning permits by right gentle intensification of neighborhoods. Yes. What he means is that we have to get away from the strict single-family home housing zoning, or my neighborhood, you're 2-1. There's this like duplex by default, but ultimately we have to go like, we will be allowed 4 units. Why not? Just make it possible. And Brett, absolutely right comment. Kevin? Have the PSW from the get-go. Yes. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like we need parts of the community. There are already companies that are doing that. Kevin Pope, creation of jobs. To elaborate, the users of the service would create a personal relationship with the PSW RPN that was supervising them from the start, and they would enjoy an arrangement much more than without creation of jobs, increasing the comfort and experience of those participating. Yes, Kevin, thank you for that. And this is something where I'm always open for new ideas, right? I'm not a person who says I know it all. And it's something, if and when I'm counselor, I rely on all the people in Sarnia to bring their best idea to me. And I hope I can then bring it forward to council and make it a reality. Because I need this input too, right? Because I'm not born knowing everything. I want to learn. I want to learn from you, and you have your own life experiences and saw something how it can be done. And it's something where I really want to harness the knowledge base we have here in Sarnia. So thank you for that. Oh, Brad, yeah, no problem. That's good. And this thing went a little bit longer than I thought, but I don't want to keep you guys too long. Unless there are any more questions, anyone else wants to chime in, I will say thank you for joining. Thank you for listening to me. If you have any friends who haven't voted yet, want to vote, don't know who to vote for, you can share this video with them. It will make it permanent. Maybe at the end they don't want to vote for me, but that's fine. Just tell them to vote. Use your democratic right. It's very important. And anything you don't understand about my platform, any more questions or ideas, I'm here to help you. And one thing I always said, like, regardless if I will be elected as councillor or not, I will remain active, because how I got to the point where I am was a delegate. I brought up ideas. And after a while, I was able to present my ideas in a way that actually were accepted. The road safety issues I brought to council, or the caregiver policy and others. Like, you also have the power. So please vote and become active citizens, delegate to city council, and would love to see you there. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.